All right. First time we've live streamed in a little bit. Got an apple. Oh, got a seed. Crap. All right. So today, I'll be honest, I have no idea what I'm going to work on. I've had, like, up to this point, zero time to do any sort of live streaming or software work. Ironically, you know, you'd think a computer science major would do more software work. Getting their CS degree feels a little backwards. But I have a little bit of time now, so figured might as well. We've already done that. So, stream goals. What do I want to do? Well, we could implement some of the visuals. We could also be responsible and use the UI, like actually get the UI correct. Because right now there's a lot of glaring issues with the UI. Okay. Fix glaring UI issues. And then I'd like to maybe see if we can get some sort of like, some sort of like visual effects on the plane when it like pulls high G's. My roommate's cat is currently in my room. Sorry, my housemate's cat. So if there's a cat that pops up on stream, it's not mine. I'm also trying to make sure it doesn't do anything to my PC. Right now it's like dangerously close to it. But, yeah. All right. Let's see. Wait a minute, I need to refresh this. Refresh page. What? All right, that's on. All right, I don't know why the chat doesn't seem to be updating. Nah, I don't care. All right, so the next thing I want to do. All of the visual effects depend on having some way to measure G-force. So measure G-force. I am going to have to, like, at some point go back and just completely overhaul the way flight works in this game, because it's still not where I'm not happy with it. It still feels very hacked together. So let's see. If we were to do G-force, then what? High G effects. All right. I think that's a good idea. Okay, so first thing we need to do. Okay, so that's from some debugging stuff. Let's first build this and just see where we left off. All right. Yeah, as the biggest change or update to this so far is we have some like kind of functioning UI now. This doesn't read keyboard input, but it will. And you can see this button, the text is not centered. It's not. And the first thing I want to fix is that. I want to get this font, like I want centered text. That's kind of necessary. We don't even need it going to the other side. We just need centered text. And then the one thing I have done, I have massively improved performance. I went in yesterday and I just added a bunch of profiling tools. Basically, not a bunch of, I just started profiling it, and I cut down on hundreds of milliseconds of just wasted time. So point is, this should be much faster now. I know it's much faster now, and the live version, which you can play in the chat, in the description, reflects those changes. But basically, that's where we're at right now. What do we need to do? So first thing, centered text with the UI. The way that the UI text is made now. Let's see. Yeah, so this is where I left some room for it. But the way that this currently works is it's basically like an incrementation system. But the problem with how we're doing things right now is it doesn't have any way of knowing where it is, where the character is relative to the entire sentence or text block. So that'll be the first thing to fix. This tab in thing, yeah, minus line height. This is responsible for that. Okay, so how are we gonna do this? How are we gonna do any sort of like centered font? Okay, so this X is incremented by advance. How could we? I'm just trying to think about this. This shouldn't be that hard of an issue to solve. So let me just get like whiteboard so I can just. Oh, we don't even have whiteboard installed. This is the one thing I use the Microsoft Store to install. Microsoft Whiteboard. Like literally the only thing that I regularly install on like my computers. Using the Microsoft Store. But yeah, okay, so how on earth? Currently the way that the way text it works in this is the text is just a mesh made up of multiple little quads, but it's drawn as one mesh, so all of it's drawn in one draw call. Every quad, when the mesh is being created, every character is given its own quad. The way we figure out where that character, basically the bottom left corner of the quad, that's what this X pose and Y pose are. And the way you compute that is there's an X offset, which is basically just like which character are we on, like a typewriter kind of offset system. And then there's a bearing that's just loaded from the font file. Then this is for any sort of scaling stuff we're working with. And then tab in just means if you tabbed, like how far is a tab in with the font. The thing I'm confused about is when we generate this mesh, we have to somehow know like how long the total sentence is and then like shift it backwards by one. So what we could do, now that I'm thinking about it, is maybe it's more a matter of offsetting text backwards. Okay, here's an idea. So in the menu scene, we do want play button center text. This will be our little test. Yeah, so that breaks everything. That's good. But wait. So by default, it is centered. So actually what we could do is we could offset it like backwards. Maybe that's the way we do things. Okay. So how can we, if we were to just copy this? Oh wait, Xpose, we need to set that to 0. Maybe it's just because none of this is initialized. I don't want any sort of inconsistent behavior. And that's from that. Okay, so if we just set it to 0, the 0 position is that. That's 0. And that's actually centered. And does it keep it? Yeah, it keeps it if we change the size. So, Xpose, maybe it should minus equal what? If we were to minus equal, this would just go backwards. Well, it would be backwards rather. So that's not. And also this is for the whole character, so it flips the characters when we do that. Here's another question. There's no spaces in this. So where is that extra gap coming from? Character X, it's just 0, bearing.x minus scale. Could it be the scale? It could be the scale. Yep, that looks like what's causing it. Does that change? Yeah, that does make sense though. And it affects things based on, got it. Okay, where is, we don't actually need this, I feel like. I could be completely wrong. Yeah, no, we should. Okay, at least for now, we're gonna get rid of this because this seems to actually do the opposite of what we want. And basically what I'm seeing is we want to take this text and just shift it backwards by like half the length, well, yeah, about half its body length. So how would we do that? We could, depending on which character we're on, and we have access to that through this X thing, or, oh shoot, I got a cat out of my room, and my microphone fell over. All right, is it on now? Okay, it is on now. Great. I wonder how long that's been off. That is not good. Oh my gosh. Sorry about that. I don't really have a place to set up my mic, so it's in this really horrible configuration where a cord is like, the cord that connects it to the computer is supporting it and connecting it to the computer. But I gotta get my cat, my roommate's cat out of my room. Sorry. I'm sorry, but you have to leave right now. All right. All right. That was weird. Okay. I need to offset this by a certain amount. So if we just set it equals to, does that change anything? Probably nothing, honestly. Yeah, it doesn't change anything. Okay, so our current X increment is just, okay, here's an idea. We could iterate through this whole list one time beforehand. And, oh, what did I do? We could calculate how like large the text is before doing anything else. So float text full text length. And then all we have to do is get the character, and then full text length plus equals advance, right? And I think that should be enough, because this X never really gets, it does get reset. This probably won't work for multiple lines in text just yet, so we'll have to make some other changes before that works. But what we can then do is I think we can say X, so like X divided by full length. Maybe this will give us something. I'm really not sure. Yeah, it did not do anything. Maybe we should first, how big are the numbers we're working with? All right. Yeah. So 0, 29, 58. So this isn't really a times full text length times full text length. Shouldn't this actually just be the exact same as, yeah, this will do absolutely nothing. This will be totally normal. We just need to shift it back by a certain amount. I wonder, well, we're offsetting everything by a constant value, actually. So maybe tab in. We don't have any tab ins here. The bearing isn't what we really need right now. So really, all we should need is just expose and then minus full text length, maybe. Maybe that's what we do. Let me just offset it by, yep, that's actually it. And then we can just do that divided by 2. And that should center our text, actually. Sort of, mostly, somewhat centered our text. It's not perfect. Like that kind of works. Maybe there's a space here. Hold on. Oh, I know what it is. Tab in is a value I have to just offset it from the left of the text box. Yeah, this works now. Okay. We'll take that, throw it here. And then the next thing, we probably should have some sort of like way to enter text into the box, because this is supposed to be where you'll like basically share your room code, or enter your room code rather. Yeah, that's the way we should do this. Okay. Right now, I'm just curious, how are we going to read text? Because here's my fear. The way I want to do this is like when we click on that box, we could just read directly from keyboard input, but there's two concerns I have with that. The first concern is reading from keyboard input. For some reason, just I have a gut feeling that that is not secure. Not that that's something I'm like developing this app with like at the forefront of my mind, but at the same time, it's something you always want to be aware of. And I wouldn't use like any C standard library stuff, I don't think, but we'll see. And then the other thing is this. This is an app running at 100 frames a second. Will my accepting keyboard input on the main render thread, because this is single threaded. There's not a render thread and a game logic thread happening separately. It's just all happening on one thread. If I read it, will that block something? I mean, there's only really one way to find out. So input widget, that's where this was, input widget. And then if, this is how I just know that I've selected something. But if it is focused, then we have some extra logic we'll have to have. Okay, maybe set text, what is it? std read, what is the standard library? C++ std read line. What is it? To read a single line. Get line. Reads characters from input string, stores them as a string object until omitted. Okay. Get line. File line. But the problem is our set text method doesn't really. Okay. String line. std get line cin line, and then we'll just set it to whatever our line value is. This probably won't work. I have a very bad feeling about this, and I was stupid. It's late, okay? My brain's not working very well. Did I miss get? All right, whatever. Why would you not capitalize the L in that? I don't know. That's an odd convention. All right. Uh-oh. Something's totally stuck. Yep, I knew it. I knew it. There we go. I called it. Told you something bad would happen. Okay. So how do we handle this, actually? I mean, we can't just set text because we have to have the end result for that. We can't have any like while loop because that freezes everything. I'll be honest, I think this is a bigger issue that I will have to solve later. But for now, let's do something kind of fun. For now, let's get GeForce implemented, or at least something behaving somewhat like GeForce. Stalling is not implemented. That needs to go away. Respawn on terrain collision or back. Yeah, that's all correct. Roll left, roll right. Yep. Okay, so this should be good. But we also need GeForce. Yeah. G's. What's the official term? I'll just say GeForce. And then aircraft.GeForce. Okay. And now we have to actually do all that. Where was this? All right. Float GeForce equal to F. All right. This should probably be initialized to G to 0 as well. What else? Man, I'm so tired today. My brain is just not working. All right. Yeah, G-force. We also need to make that box bigger. Yeah, stats. Scale, Y value. We'll make it like a 1.5. We don't actually need it a whole 2 sizes bigger. That's a little too big though. Well, I need to make some way to like edit this from within a JSON file. But that feels a little outside of the scope. This works well enough. Yeah, that works just fine. Okay, so G-force. I also think I need to truncate some of these values. Like, I don't need that much detail, but it works. All right, so G-force. How are we going to calculate G-force? G-force, we're going to need the difference in rotation and the speed at which we're currently traveling at. Here's what I'm thinking. So in our update method, if I had to just guess what G-force, like float, this is just pseudocode of how I think it works. Float G-force, well, we could just say G-force, and it would be like delta rotation. So like how much have we rotated times speed. And if we rotate really fast at a high speed, lots of G's. If we rotate really fast at low speed, not as many G's. High speed, lower. Yeah, this feels like it scales accordingly. There's got to be some constants in there as well. So honestly, we're going to need a couple things up here. G-force coefficient. We have no idea what we'll need for that for now, so we'll just set it to 1. And then, what is it? G-force delta rotation. So we need to get the actual change in rotation, and I think we already have that. I may be speaking too soon. Update function. We don't really need these comments here. The profiling statements kind of do it for us. Probably would be in the aircraft orientation. Are we getting any sort of like change in rotation? Maybe not. Throttle, stalling logic, transform position, last position, target. Where are we setting our camera rotation? Unrotated forward. Unrolled rotation. Spherical to target rotation. Got it. That's what it would be. No, it has to be our change of rotation versus last frame. So we need a like previous, last target rotation. GLM quad last rotation. This should also be. I feel like it's a bad idea to leave things uninitialized. Identity GLM quad. All right, and then in here, our last rotation will just be whatever our last unrotated rotation, unrolled rotation, unrotated forward. Target rotation. Target rotation won't be what changes. It'll just be the unrolled rotation. Okay, so then we'll say last rotation equals unrolled rotation. And that should be enough. There is a way. Get delta between quaternions. There's a way to do this. What was it? Get the from to get the inverse. Okay, that makes sense. And then at the very end, we can compute G-force by saying, all right, and this will have to happen here. G-force, first thing we need is what? This is a delta of quaternion. Get scalar delta between quaternions. How would you do that? Extract the angle. Okay, so we do need just a delta plot. And this is, what was it? 2 minus from inverse, right? I think that was correct. Yeah, 2 minus from inverse. So we're currently at target rotation. Sorry. Where are we setting last rotation, actually? Yeah, we need to do that up here. Unrolled rotation times GLM inverse last rotation. Okay. And then float delta rotation. Delta angle would be a better name. How would we extract this? 2 times a cosine q delta dot w. Okay. 2 times GLM a cosine delta quat dot w. I don't really know. No matching function. Returns an angle whose cosine is x. What do these typically take in? Fast a cosine angle. Calculate rotation delta. Angle between 2 quaternions. Get angle between quaternions. Oh. Yeah. Got it. Get the length of the dot between unit quaternions. Oh. I don't think you can dot Brown those, can you? Okay. We'll try that. We will try that. GLM normalize GLM dot. Wait a minute. Why would you no, it's just the length of a dot product. You can't normalize that. GLM dot. That's the absolute value. ABS dot. And then in here we will get unrolled rotation. And then last rotation. We'll see if that does anything right. CD C out delta angle. CD del. Built successfully. Join. Let's look at what the output is. NAND. Great. Oh. So it does seem to work. It's a little weird. When there's no difference, though, it's NAND. So, float ACOS equals this. And then we'll set it if it's not NAND. But if it is NAND, we'll just set to 0. ACOS std is NAND. I think there's an is NAND method, right? Or is it is NAND because, and then if it is 0.0, else ACOS. There. Okay, that should work. And now G force should be delta angle times GLM length velocity. So the faster we're moving and the higher, and we'll just have to play around with the coefficients. So times G force coefficient. I think that's not a terrible way to do things. Okay. Of course, that's not 20. That's actually not abysmal. Like, that the values are wrong. Don't get me wrong. But, like, Like that's 8 Gs. We need a smaller coefficient, but like not much. It's actually surprisingly close. Given that we're just using completely random numbers. So I think it might be like, what, 0.6. That feels a little more accurate. Okay, so we turn at like 2 Gs, 10 G turn. That's actually not, I mean, you have to realize this is an unrealistically sharp turn. It's probably a little higher than that, actually. I think realistically, you're not turning that tight in a fighter jet. If you did, you'd probably be at like 13 Gs, honestly. Maybe more. Yeah, that's a 12 G turn. So we can maintain a 4 G turn like that. Can maintain a 7 G turn like that. Yeah, that's kind of cool. So we seem to have G-force now. Sweet. So now we can do some cool stuff with that. Let's get some of those like air effects. It's been a while since we've modified the jet model. This will be kind of tricky to add, but I initially tried to do the air effects with particles. Though it's possible, it's not worth it. And it would look cooler if we can just custom model what the air effects look like and then maybe use a shader of some kind, although that would have to be a pretty big engine modification on its own at some point. But yeah, we can, I'm thinking we have like some planes. And then we'll use a mirror modifier. And I think this is going to be cool. I think it's going to be very cool, actually. I have big intentions for this. Big ambitions for this. Let's get some reference photos. Let's see. F-22 air pressure. What's the vortices, I think? What's the term for those? Let's see. High G maneuvers, air pressure on top of them. What's it called? Okay, whatever. So that they're not called clouds, but okay. Yeah, these are the things I'm talking about. How did they do it in virtual fighter maneuvers? Flight maneuvers. Virtual flight maneuvers did a really, really good job at visualizing these, I think. Virtual flight maneuvers. There we go, right there. Those are what I'm looking for. Let's open this image in a new tab. Okay, so his are just clouds, but they're kind of going over the body of it. I can make them more 3D if I need to at some point, but for now, we'll just use some planes. Can probably rotate it like that. Put them here. Scale them down a lot. They'll kind of start up here. We'll rotate, move it a little inwards, rotate it again, scale down. And then we'll have like a kind of a sharp cut inwards from here. Like they're really starting in here, or a little closer maybe even. Okay, because from the back, you're just gonna see that. Although you won't just see it from behind. This is just a proof of concept. I think I'm thinking about this a little too much. Okay, scale that down a lot. Maybe move it back and out a little bit. Scale it down even more. I feel like they're a little too inward. These will have to be... Shoot, we'll have to texture this thing soon. I hate texturing. I hate modeling. I really, really am not a fan of making 3D models. It bores me to death, honestly. All right. Now we just need, we could probably do this with like 2 bones. For now, we'll use 1. It shouldn't be too hard to add to the engine. Wait, no, that works. Yeah, we'll just use 1 bone on either side. And then we'll just scale it, basically. Like, that'll be it. Based on how many G's you're pulling. And we will put it at the end. I want this to be a little somewhat accurate. And then we'll name this what? Air. We'll call it, well, what's this? Pressure vortice. Dot L, right? And then we'll just symmetrize this. Symmetrize, yeah. All right. Oh, we have to parent this right as well. Take that there. Parent keep offset. Parent keep offset. All right. That should be enough. We'll have to now quickly weight paint some of this. But first we'll join these two meshes. This can't have applied. Yeah, we're good. Uh-oh, we didn't apply the modifier first. Apply, then we join, and then we can just parent everything accordingly. Gosh darn it, what a frustrating process 3D modeling is. Vertices, what? Oh, we haven't. Ah, we have to reparent this. Whatever, it's fine. It's not a big deal. Armature deform for now. I want to see if this maintained all of its previous parenting data. It seems like it did. That's good. And that shouldn't do anything. Awesome. Here, edit. I'll take that. Is there vertex groups? That's not comforting. These should be their own vertex groups. Pressure vortices.l break. Collection of bones. That's not good. Here on Earth. Breaktail our vertex groups. There should be new vertex groups being added. Take that here, parent. With empty groups. This is gonna delete all the bone data though, I feel like. Won't it? No, it didn't. That's weird. If it didn't destroy any of the group data, and it does add new group data, that would be really nice. Oh, that worked. All right, so here. This should be the left. Full weight assign. And then the right, full weight assign, and then if we go back into here, pose mode, there we go. Let's see, scale, it does that. Yeah, that's kind of cool actually. We will auto smooth again because we do want those to be somewhat smooth. We should probably make this a little less sharp. So we don't want any visible changes. Yeah, that's what we need. Okay. That's what we're doing. All right, right there. It's kind of the sweet spot with this. And then export GLTF, meshes, that, data, mesh, apply norm modifiers, tangents. All right. And then this should just work out the gate, I think, in the engine. We should just be able to see these. Yeah, we can see them now. Got it. Okay. So this is great. We need a like G-force constant. Define G-force threshold. And we want it to, maybe we'll do it like 7 Gs. And anything beyond 7 Gs is going to make these appear. Okay. So where would this be? We could do this in the, it's probably in the animations method. Yeah, that's where we do all the animation controls. Skeletons. Bone mappings. Oh shoot, we need bone mappings. Where were the bone mappings? Yeah, int, what was it? Pressure vortices L int pressure vortices R. All right, and then we'll have to add those to the bone mappings. Gosh darn it. Pressure vortices L and then R. And we'll have to do pressure vortices.L, pressure vortices.R. Demojet GLTF, it should be here. Dot L. And then, what would this even be? Sure. C's dot R. Damn it, we're gonna have to debug this. Oh wait, no we won't. No we won't. It's in here. Yeah. All the data we need is in here. Pressure vortices L. Well, how did I write this again last time? So rudder L was the first index. Right? Yeah. Rudder L was the first index. So 0. Wait a minute. 1. Tail L. Got it. Okay. And then tail R should be the third index. 0, 1, 2, 3. Yeah. 4, 5, 6. Got it. 5 and 6. Which means root is probably now 7. Right? We had break before this, and then root would be, yeah, root will be 7. We still need to update that. All right, that should work. And then skeletal mesh dot skeleton dot bones resource dot description dot bone mappings dot, what was it? Pressure dot pressure vortices L dot set scale. Oh, wait a minute. Can we just set the scale of a bone right now? Bone resting rotation scale. Yeah, there it is. All right. Oh, who's liking this? Thank you. I appreciate that. I know this is probably one of my more boring streams I've done in a while, but I'm tired. And sometimes I don't always feel like entertaining, you know? Beck 3. Float pressure scale. And it'll be G-force minus, we need to clamp this. Math utils clamp float, and then it would be G-force, well, G-force minus G-force threshold 0.0, and I think it should be min. And then divided by what? 12 G's is probably our ceiling, right? No, we'll set it even higher. We'll set like 13 G's. No, 12 G's. And then we should probably math utils max float, and then we'll max that out at 1.0. All right. And the actual scale will be 1 minus that. And then pressure scale will just be that. And we'll do the same for the right. And then this might just work on its own. No additional hoops to jump through. Uh-oh. I'm not seeing any scale changes. Are we actually taking scale into account now that I'm thinking about it? Like when I'm rendering this, am I actually doing anything to scale? Let's see. Begin draw skeletal mesh. Transform, get matrix. Joint transforms, inverse spine, cache global bone transforms. So it's wherever we're calculating all that. Update global bone transform, translate. Oh wait, it wouldn't be 1.0 minus that, would it? We want it to just be 0 when it's 0. Yeah, they're gone, and then we make a turn, and they should kind of appear. Of course, we can't really see because they're a little backwards, but that's okay. Let's see. Let's print this out. Pressure scale. We just want them to be whatever they need to be temporarily. All right, so no G's pulled. Ah, so it actually is doing everything right. We just, can't see it because, although I think we want this to be like out of a little less. I think we maybe want it to be like 8. And if this works, then we have implemented those. I mean, they have to texture this darn plane. Yeah, look at that. You can kind of see them if you look really closely. Gosh darn it. I wish, like, maybe I rotate this so you can... Oh, we crashed. Come on. Rotate. You can see them a little bit on the sides. If you look really closely, I feel like I'm just bullshitting at this point. No. They are there. They should be there. You can kind of see them appearing, but the problem is they're only visible to people who are facing away from you. You know what? Just to prove a point, purely to prove a point, I'm going to make them unreasonably huge. All right. They're going to be absolutely colossal when they actually appear. Just to prove. Yeah, look at that. Look, they're there. They're just not being drawn from the other side because we have, yeah, look, you can see they're there. Definitely there. It's kind of cool. It worked. Yeah, it worked. We did it. How awesome is that? Feature implemented randomly on screen successfully. All right, so that works. Now what's the last thing? The last thing's actually kind of hard. Let's first take these off. Did that. Did that. There's one more G effect that I will have to implement, and when I do, oh, it's gonna be a pain in the butt. Well, basically, what I'm gonna have to do is not just the like there's smoke, there's clouds that come off the wingtips of planes as well, and I want those. And that's probably gonna be tricky to implement because it's gonna be a dynamic mesh. Basically, it's just gonna be a trail mesh, and those aren't the easiest to implement. They're not impossible. They're not particularly they're not insanely difficult, but they're frustratingly difficult, I would say. Actually, hold on. What am I talking about? There's something we have to implement long before that. We have to add Afterburner. Gosh darn it. I'm a fool sometimes. We have to add Afterburner. That is unacceptable. All right. We will get some Afterburner going. And it's going to be awesome. And yeah, it's just going to be awesome. There's nothing else to say. We'll delete the face of that. And we'll scale it down. Shade smooth. Shade the whole thing smooth. And then extrude inward. Scale it down a little in there. All right. There we go. An Afterburner plume. A temporary Afterburner plume, definitely, but one nonetheless. All right. That'll do. That will do. Maybe not. Maybe we can't just do that. Did we extrude this already? Yeah, we did. That's good. Okay. So we'll just drag that out a little more, scale it down. And that will be what appears if you go Afterburner. That actually might cause some floating point issues because this is in the browser. and I have to worry about those things, just because this mesh is very close together, if that makes sense. Select loops, edge loops, scale that down a little more. All right, that should be better. We'll merge this. Well, wait, no, we also have to edit the skeleton as well. Add single bone, take it all the way to the end, and then this will work based on this. All right, perfect. Parent, keep offset. We'll call this after burner. And we'll just call it burner. We don't need any fancy names here. Take that, join these two, and then reparent. Parent with empty groups here. Yeah. And we'll get this actual mesh. Select loops, edge loops. Uh-oh. That is wrong. We don't want that. We want these. Actually, we do want that. Maybe. Maybe not. Gosh darn it, man. I'm so tired right now. I'm barely thinking straight. Maybe we do want that. All right, get rid of that. Select this loop. Select loops, edge loops. Okay, that should be everything we need. And then we will parent it to burner. There. And then just to test everything, make sure it works. Hey, thanks for the the first chat. I appreciate it. Usually there's a lot more activity, but in everyone else's defense, this is a pretty boring stream tonight. School has made me exceedingly busy and much less entertaining, I guess. We haven't selected any of this stuff yet, have we? Yeah, we need to unselect that. Select these. Select this. All right. Select loops, edge loops. All right. Now we can parent this correctly. There we go. Pose mode. Take that. Scale. Along the Y. There we go. All right. That should work. File. Export. That should save all my previous export. Yeah. No, this is very interesting. This is not boring. This is interesting. I appreciate that. I guess I'm less entertaining tonight. Usually I have more to say and I'm a little better at live streaming. But also I'm streaming out of like a college dorm now, so it's a little, the scene is a little less interesting, I guess. But yeah, this is fun. If you think it's interesting, the live demo is in the description of this video. You can play everything I'm playing. Yeah, you're right. Very interesting. No, you're good. Yeah, feel free to play the live demo. Let me know what y'all think. Where was burner? Burner is now after all of these, so that would be 7. Go live in shorts mode, dog. What do you mean? How do I do that? Can I go live in YouTube? Also, wait, would that PC specs? 5080 graphics card. I think 64 gigs of RAM. I'm not entirely certain. It was a Facebook Marketplace steal, would be the way I would put it. Burn. And this would be 7. Int burner. I will have to go live on shorts, but my fear with that is this will, like, the aspect ratio and everything will mess up the stream on shorts because I have not set anything up in that regard. Let's see. And this burner. All right. Yeah, I've seen it. You can add in the UI. Just teach. Huh. Interesting. I will have to look into this short streaming thing. But this should be dependent on the throttle. And if we have a high throttle, then we'll just scale up the, yeah, this is totally doable. Just set it up, then you'll get more viewers. You know what? How about this? After I set this up, after I get this afterburner thing, then I'll set it up. You convinced me. Congratulations. Description. Usually, the last stream I did was like a week and a half ago, but it got about 300 views while the stream was going. So usually things go a little better, but it was also at a different time. I was more consistent. So it would make sense if that's hurting my YouTube algorithm or whatever. I have like no time to actually manage my YouTube account well. All right. Yeah, look at that. The throttle makes the afterburner much larger. No throttle, no afterburner. Okay. My issue is the normals are all messed up, but like it's kind of to be expected in a situation like this. So mesh, normals, recalculate outside. Probably didn't have to do that for the whole thing. We did it anyway. Take this, mesh, reset. Yeah, that looks better. Although that should only appear if your throttle is, I think maybe it'd be like pow. Pow. Is there an fpow method? No, we don't even need that. I just was wondering, and we'll do it like the power of 10, so it'll really, really quickly just take off. All right, yeah, no afterburner. And really quickly, the afterburner appears. Ta-da! Look, when I texture everything, this will look much better. But for now, that's kind of the idea. See? Pretty solid, I'd say, honestly. I'm proud of this. I'm very happy with how this has turned out. Yeah. Totally custom engine, totally custom UI. Not bad. Not bad at all. Although I think I am profiling this whole thing. Am I? Yeah, I am. Ooh, that's a lot of JSON data. Maybe we should... Yeah, I did not mean to profile all of this. But if you want to see the profiler, Chrome tracing, this is how I did the profiling for the engine. Yeah. Let's see. The most computationally intensive stuff is the input polling, which I have no control over. That's all GLM. And the swap buffers and tick, which is also all GLM. Or GLFW. These are both GLFW. Everything in between, this is all the rendering logic. That's pretty solid. Now, note, before yesterday, when I dramatically improved everything, these were the two shortest, and they were so much smaller than the time everything else took that you the scales had swapped places. But now everything is significantly faster. Drawing the skybox at its worst, I'm not kidding, took 9 milliseconds. Not 9 microseconds, 9 milliseconds. Like 8. This is a massive amount of performance gains from doing this, which is awesome. I'm all about those performance gains. But long story short, it works. I won't publish these changes, like these the performance changes are all live, but I'm not going to publish the animation changes I made just now on stream. to the live demo, because I think that we need to texture the plane before anything else, and I really don't want to do that. I really do not want to do that. I cannot stand making models, but it shouldn't take too insanely long. It'll be much better than it is in my head, I'm sure. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at, actually. That's not bad. I think that's worth committing, just to... I don't want to add that. Make sure this actually got added. Sometimes Zed's a little behind in the Gitignore updating stuff. But yeah, we'll unstar that and add to Gitignore. Afterburner pressure vortices and UI text centering. Although we haven't tested what happens with the UI if I was to have multi-line UI for the font centering. Does that break everything? I'm half suspicious it's going to break everything, which is fine. But we need to test that, you know? It's kind of important. So new line, join. New line. We'll have 2 new lines. This should break everything, probably. Well, yeah. Kind of broke everything. Wait a minute. Chat disconnected. Uh-oh. That's not good. Can you guys still chat? Because I just got a notification that the chat got disconnected on my end. And it could be because my Wi-Fi is terrible in my dorm. So feel free to send a chat message just to verify that things still work. If I don't get a chat message, I will take that as things are probably a little busted right now. That's okay. We probably do want multi-line centering. How hard would that take? How hard would that be? Multi-line centering. I'm curious. Nah, probably would be. We'd have to like store an array of offsets, wouldn't we? We could do that. I'm up to the challenge. Yeah. For each line, vector. What was it? Vector of floats, text lengths, line lengths. Yeah. And then line lengths I. Int I equals 0 plus equals 6. If ch is equal to what? There's a way we can check for that. We were doing it earlier. It was if what? Oh wait, if this is equal to new line, unable to connect. What? Okay, this is bad. The YouTube chat just shut off. Let me close this. You just closed the dockable window. I'm aware I closed the dockable window. Profile, scene collection tools. How do I open multi-view, list node? I need to get that chat window back up. That's bad. How to open OBS chat window. View docs chat. All right. View. Wait a minute. Doc toolbars. We want that. That's not good. Lock docs. Stats chat. There we go. Let's reconnect this now. Uh-oh. My Wi-Fi seems to be going out. This is bad. This is very bad, actually. Click here to retry. Yeah, I need to retry connecting, please. Let me see, is my live stream even still up? Oh no. Well, this may be the end of the stream. That's all right. That's all right. For all those who watched, thank you. For all those who might still be able to see this, thank you as well. This was a little disappointing, but we got some good work done. That's for sure. Anyways, yeah. Have a good night, everybody.